Hey guys, this is VinylicPuma, and I'm back with some Borderlands 3 news and information. Recently, there have been a number of interesting new developments concerning Borderlands 3, and I figured I could go over some of these with you guys. Some of these you may be familiar with, while others you may not be so familiar with. But I guess without further ado, let's just go ahead and start. Now, if you guys remember from last May, Take-Two made an interesting statement about their plans for fiscal year 2019. Specifically, they mentioned at the time that, quote, looking ahead to fiscal 2019, we expect to deliver both record net sales and record net cash provided by operating activities in excess of $2.5 billion and $700 million respectively, led by the launches of Rockstar Games' Red Dead Redemption 2 and a highly anticipated new title from one of 2K's biggest franchises. Now, at the time, many of us suspected that this, quote, highly anticipated new title was going to be another Borderlands game. However, I guess some people thought it would be a new BioShock, XCOM, Civilization game, or just something else. However, recently, on February 1st, 2018, Take-Two Interactive announced during a financial outlook that there would be a delay for Red Dead Redemption 2. Instead of coming out in spring of 2018, they've now planned to launch the game on October 26th, 2018. So again, instead of a spring 2018 release, Red Dead Redemption 2 now has a confirmed launch date in fall 2018. In this same financial outlook, Take-Two reiterated what it said in May 2017. Specifically, the section reads, quote, despite this change, Take-Two continues to expect to deliver both record net bookings and record net cash provided by operating activities in excess of $2.5 billion and $700 million respectively during fiscal year 2019, led by the launches of Rockstar Games' Red Dead Redemption 2 and a highly anticipated new title from one of 2K's biggest franchises. Now, you may have noticed this, but this is a very similarly worded statement to the statement that Take-Two made in May of 2017. However, the reason why this second reiterated statement is so significant is because this statement is meant to reassure investors that despite the delay of Red Dead Redemption 2, Take-Two is still on track to release both Red Dead Redemption 2 and this new highly anticipated game from 2K. Given that fiscal year 2019 ends on March 31st, 2019, it's safe to say that Red Dead Redemption 2 and this new game from 2K will be out before March 31st, 2019. Assuming this new game from 2K is Borderlands 3, then that means that Borderlands 3 will be out before March 31st, 2019. Now, I know there are a fair number of people that are suggesting that this isn't going to be a new Borderlands game, and maybe it'll be something else like a new BioShock game, an XCOM game, and maybe it'll be Mafia 4, or it'll be something else entirely. However, I would like to point something out that wasn't immediately apparent to me upon reading Take-Two's statement the first time back in May of 2017. Now, there's a specific line where they talk about money. Take-Two mentions a figure of $2.5 billion and then a figure of $700 million. And what I didn't understand until now was that these two monetary figures corresponded to the release of Red Dead Redemption 2 and this new game from 2K Games. So essentially, Take-Two is telling investors that they're expecting to make $2.5 billion off Red Dead Redemption 2, while this new game from 2K Games will make in excess of $700 million. I think we can all agree that $700 million is an insane amount of money, and given 2K Games' history, I would say that there is really only one franchise that they have that could earn that much money, and that is Borderlands. Now, according to VG Charts, it's estimated that between all platforms, Borderlands 2 has sold about 9 million units, and assuming all 9 million of those copies were sold for $60, that would be about $540 million in total. For the sake of comparison, BioShock Infinite, the most recent BioShock game, sold about 3.81 million units and totals out to $228 million or so. And if you're curious about Mafia III, which sold about 3.71 million, it totals out to about $220 million or so. So while BioShock and Mafia are popular franchises, I don't see them hitting that $700 million number, while I think Borderlands potentially could. I also think that it's worth mentioning that we've been seeing some interesting tweets coming from Randy Pitchford about a possible future Borderlands game, especially when you look at a recent Twitter exchange that he had with Elon Musk. Now, there's a pretty good chance that some of you may have already heard about this, but Elon Musk recently announced that he would be selling this portable flamethrower through his own The Boring Company. And Musk was promoting this new flamethrower on Twitter, and Randy Pitchford actually ended up replying to one of the tweets. And here is that Twitter exchange. So Musk says, "But wait, there's more. The flamethrower is sentient. Its safe word is cryptocurrency, and it comes with a free blockchain." Randy replies, "Elon, I'm going to add this to our next Borderlands game. Super serious. Let me know if you want to write the flavor text. You may have already done so. We'll just lift it from one of your tweets." Musk replies, "Sure." With this Twitter exchange, Randy Pitchford basically confirmed that the next Borderlands game is in development. Now, while it's worth mentioning that Randy has hinted at Borderlands 3's development before at events like PAX West, this is actually the first time that Randy has said something like, "I'm going to add this to our next Borderlands game," letting everyone know that there is most likely going to be a next Borderlands game. And really, if you think about it, between the Borderlands 3 tech demo, the Twitter exchange between Randy and Elon Musk, the Take-Two investor calls talking about highly anticipated titles from 2K, and the PAX West announcement from last year that 90% of Gearbox is, quote, "working on the game you want us to be working on," I feel like I can safely say at this point, with a reasonable amount of confidence, that Borderlands 3 will be released by March 31st of 2019. While we don't have a concrete release date yet, nor do we have an official announcement or reveal of the game, at this point, I think it's fairly safe to say that Borderlands 3 is definitely happening and will be out relatively soon if everything goes to plan. Now, before I go, I do want to talk a little more about Borderlands 3, or whatever the next game in the franchise is going to be called. Specifically, I want to go ahead and talk about how Gearbox kind of has a surprising amount of momentum right now. Obviously, there's a lot of hype from us in the Borderlands fan base, but something that I think is also worth considering is that as far as the looter-shooter genre itself is concerned, it sounds like things are going to be relatively sparse through 2018. As far as I know, The Division just released its 1.8 updates, and otherwise, there's probably not going to be a whole lot more going on with that game in the foreseeable future. Then you have Destiny 2, and its next major update isn't coming out until spring 2018. And given that Destiny 2 has had a lot of bad press lately and has pissed off a lot of its fan base because of the Eververse, Destiny 2 has certainly lost a lot of the momentum that it once had. Finally, there's EA's Anthem, which was originally going to be BioWare's version of Destiny to be released in 2018, and it just got delayed to a 2019 release. I guess what I'm getting at is that the next Borderlands game has the potential to release at a time where people are pissed off about Destiny, support for The Division is likely over and the developers are preparing for a sequel, and Anthem isn't even coming out until sometime in 2019. Because of that, Borderlands 3 has the perfect opportunity to come out in a year and at a time when it has virtually no competition and all of its potential competitors are either dormant and possibly working on their next games, or they have gotten so much bad press recently that Gearbox, 2K, and Take-Two could come out with Borderlands 3 this year and pretty much own the genre for 2018. If the next Borderlands game is really good, is marketed correctly, has a more consumer-friendly business model and capitalizes on Bungie, Activision, and EA's recent failures and bad press, I could foresee Borderlands 3 outperforming Destiny 2 in terms of sales, even if it did get released a little later in March 2019. It really is kind of interesting because there's been this long drought for Borderlands content for a while now, and it seems like when Borderlands is going to re-enter the picture, like all of the other games that are coming out in its own genre are just going to have this content drought, and Borderlands may end up not having any competition for a while. But I digress. Ultimately, guys, if you take anything away from this video, it's very likely that Borderlands 3 will be released sometime before the end of March 2019. And if I had to make a prediction at this point, I'm going to say that we will see Borderlands 3 release sometime in the month of March 2019. And this is because I doubt that Take-Two would put Borderlands 3's release so close to Red Dead Redemption 2's. If Far Cry 5's announcement and subsequent release is any indication, we'll probably see Borderlands 3 being officially announced sometime in or around May of this year. And then we'll see a fair amount of hype building up over the months leading up to that March release. I also think that Take-Two has a history of doing this, because historically speaking, Borderlands 2 was originally released by Take-Two and 2K in September 2012, while BioShock Infinite came out in March 2013. So the practice of releasing a game late in March after you released it in the fall isn't really an uncommon phenomenon for Take-Two, and I guess 2K games. And hey, who knows, maybe I'm totally wrong and Gearbox ends up surprising us with a September 2018 release date for Borderlands 3. I guess only time will tell, but I think at this point it's fairly safe to say that Borderlands 3 is definitely happening. Alright guys, I think that's going to pretty much wrap up this particular video. If you liked this video, feel free to leave a like, click the bell to join the notification squad, and as always, thank you all for watching, take care, and I'll see you all next time.